What's going on, NBA 2K fans? It's Pete Toll, aka PT Sports 84. NBA 2K dropped another official roster update, another minor one with just some transactions. But as I always like to tell everybody that's watching, I try to go through anything that has, you know, more than one or two transactions. I try to do a roster update and just let everybody know what's changed because oftentimes you'll see that little update box pop up. It could be injuries, it could be transactions, it could be shoes, accessories, it could be Mike Wang playing with the shooting in the game, so to speak, that some people claim. I don't know that. That's not me saying that. That's just what some people kind of thrown out that can be adjusted. But anyway, some minor transactions. We have some number changes or jersey number updates per se, and then some injuries taking off of players. No injuries, oddly enough, no injuries added to Brandon Clark, Jonathan Isaac, Kendall Brown, or Kendrick Williams, who have all been officially ruled out for the season. I take it that because we're later in the season, 2K is not adding injuries to players because next month, pretty much in 5 weeks, 2K will start to remove injuries for the teams that are not in the play-in or playoffs, as they do every year. Um, let's dive in really quick um, and look at. So they pulled the injury off of Steph Curry, but they missed the injury for Andre Iguodala, who actually played in the same game yesterday. The Warriors lost to the Lakers. This is just attention to detail. Um, through and through. Another injury that was supposed to be taken off, Davis Bertans still has his injury designation on there, so hopefully by the next update, those will get taken off, and the players in Clark, Isaac, Brown, and Williams will get those added. Just because I think with 5 weeks left, that's enough time that you can add those injuries, especially if um, you're picking up 2K very late in the year and you want to start a my NBA franchise and go with the start from today, whatever you want to do. Sorry, I have a nasty nasal allergy thing. Down here in the south, it's pollen season. It's like really heavy. It's all over everywhere. So, excuse me if I'm coughing throughout the video. I apologize. Um, but let's jump in. First transaction, Goran Dragic signs with the Milwaukee Bucks. This is interesting because Dragic, somebody that can bring up the ball as a secondary ball handler or lead ball handler, essentially, for about 10 minutes a game because many see Javon Carter here as the point guard. He does not bring the ball up the court, oddly enough. He is a strictly there for defense, can shoot the three, has done really well this season, but he's not somebody that's a ball handler per se. So good to see them get Dragic in. Dragic wants to win a championship. Um, Surely enough, Milwaukee has been on a 16-game winning streak, so hopefully we'll see Dragic get some good playing time. He goes from the Bulls to now on the Milwaukee Bucks. Speaking of the Bulls, they convert Carlik Jones, who had a standout season so far in the G League, has looked really good for Windy City. Converted to a standard contract. I'll be curious to see who they sign to a two-way contract to close out the year. Nobody really stands out per se on the Windy City Bulls to bring up, so I don't know if they'll go that route or look for somebody else in the G League, but we shall see. The Utah Jazz re-upped Chris Dunn, who I think they'll end up signing for the rest of the season and maybe a team option for next year. He's looked really good in minutes for them. He's definitely an NBA player and should stay on the team. They did, however, not bring back Frank Jackson on a second 10-day. He didn't play except for the last game a couple minutes. He's more of a two guard. They don't really need that right now. So I'll be curious to see who they bring in on another 10-day contract instead of Frank Jackson. So um, another interesting transaction. Trevor Keels had previously been converted from a two-way contract to a 10-day contract. He was let go out of, or not brought back out of that 10-day contract. Instead, they now convert Daquan Jeffries to a standard contract, and I expect them to keep him on the roster for the rest of the season now that he's converted. But I'll be curious to see. My vote is either Garrison Brooks or James Akinjo for the Knicks to bring up on a two-way contract. I think both of them deserve it. We'll see what happens as far as transactions moving forward for them. Another transaction to note: Nerlens Noel officially signed his 10-day contract today with the Brooklyn Nets. So we'll see what he can do. I think he overtakes Day'Ron Sharpe pretty quickly there. We have the Detroit Pistons given a 10-day contract to Eugene Amarui. Don't expect him to get a ton of minutes there unless they think that Livers' injury is going to extend some time. Plus, Marvin Bagley's been really doing well since coming back. 20 and 13, averaging 20 and 13 since returning from injury. So I don't know how many minutes are actually going to be there for them. Next transaction, Isaiah Roby was waived from the San Antonio Spurs and brought in was Sandro Mamukelashvili. He is going to play because Zach Collins is out. Hugo, no retro stuff, man. Trust me, I'm waiting on that so bad to come out. We'll see if maybe that comes out along with a ratings update this week. I don't even know if a ratings update is going to come this Thursday or next. I'm not sure. But Mamukelashvili will probably get playing time with Zach Collins being out. He's a capable NBA player. Regressed a little bit this season, as I talked about in my last video last week, but he certainly can play. So we'll see what happens there. They got some jersey numbers. They got all the numbers for the guys signed recently, but then they also went in and updated the jersey number for Dwayne Washington Jr., who's now 44. And then Xavier Moon, who's 15. So those were updated. For those asking about Josh Richardson, that was updated last week. They did finally get it updated to number 2. So he's taken care of there. Willie Cauley-Steins, who's also on a 10-day contract, had his number updated. Jared Butler on the Thunder was updated as well to number 14. Jay Huff on the Washington Wizards. Jamari Boye, number 4 there. Interesting enough, when Jamari is out of his 10-day contract, they are going to bring in Xavier Cooks from Australia. He played in the NBL. More of a hybrid forward. He's somebody that essentially rebounds really well, can pass, get assists. Doesn't shoot the three the greatest, only 33% on the season. Has an above-average first step, which is interesting because he's not very athletic. With that, he shoots like Joakim Noah, like a weird wind-up shot that takes a while to get off. So I'll be interested to see how that translates to the NBA and being able to get that shot off and how he plays. But he's a small forward, power forward hybrid. Played the small ball 4 in Australia, so I don't know if he'll slide in as a small ball 4 here or shift over to small forward as he can handle the ball and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens, but he actually won't officially sign until the 10 days are up for Jamari. So sometime next week, we hopefully will get Cooks added to the game. 2K's been really good about getting guys added pretty quick into the game, so we'll see. But no updated contracts, unfortunately. I've been waiting to see if they would get contracts for Jordan Goodwin, Lindy Waters III, Michael Carter-Williams, P.J. Dozier, and Bryce McGowan's now that they're official, but they still have not been updated within the game yet. So hopefully that comes soon enough. This week's ratings update, I hope it comes out Thursday. It might be next week before we get something, but I'm hopeful that it's this week. Some guys should go up and down, pretty decently. I'm also hoping that badges can be updated, and that's something I wanted to talk about in this video. As you can see, guys that are in there, Hugo Miles Turner's contract, I believe it was already updated, right? Yeah, it's updated. So he got the extension added there. Yeah, that was updated a couple weeks ago. They had delayed it like 2 weeks, and I sent along some feedback, and it looks like it got put in. So, um, yeah. So looking at badges, there's guys that have been in the NBA a while, like Daniel House, for example, 0 badges. That shouldn't be. Now I can see having 0 badges for like the two-way guys or someone like Jaden Springer. You're trying to separate like the attribute overalls and stuff like that. But there's no reason why Jalen McDaniels and Daniel House should have 0 badges. Wesley Matthews, like veterans should not have 0 badges. Even if you give them 1 or 2, they should have something. Should see some position changes. I'll be curious to see if DeRozan gets moved to the power forward, since now Caruso is playing the small forward, and they're going smaller with Patrick Williams off the bench. Sam Merrill is a 2 guard, not a point guard, so he would have to be updated there. Who else? You could look at Victor Oladipo is playing more the 1 than the 2. Strus is playing more the 2 than the 3. With the Knicks, interesting enough, Dwayne Washington's more of a point guard, as he was with Phoenix. Curious to see what they do there. Another interesting note is with Dallas, like on paper, Luka is the 1 and Kyrie's the 2, on and on. But if you look at the matchups on the court, Luka's actually more like the small forward, power forward, depending on the matchup. Kyrie's the point guard, and then Reggie Bullock guards the 2s. But I don't think 2K will change those positions for Luka and stuff like that, just based on the on paper look of things. But Maxi Kleba is definitely a center when playing. He played over Christian Wood. He didn't play last game against the Suns, but the game before that, he was playing over Christian Wood. When Wood came onto the floor, he slid over to power forward. But for the most part, he's playing over Christian Wood behind Dwight Powell, which I still don't understand how Dwight Powell is starting for this team, but it is what it is. Looking further at teams, Seth Curry should be a point guard. He's been known as the point guard under Jacques Vaughn for pretty much the last month. And then that means you move Edmund Sumner to the shooting guard position where he's playing. It's just a matter of watching the tape and seeing where guys line up overall to know what position changes are being needed. You can't go by the position updates on Cleaning the Glass or Basketball Reference. If you go by those position updates, they usually do them by height, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But you got to look at the lineup data and who plays where, when, and what situations. Personally, you could look at Kevin Durant. He's guarded by 3s, but he guards 4s some as well. You could go either way. You can make Durant the power forward, or you can move Josh Okogie to the power forward as well. But Ish Wainwright is the small forward. TJ Warren, same thing. He could be a combo forward as well. It's just about preference. Terrence Ross has been playing the 3 for Phoenix. He's been injured lately, but the game that he played in, he played the 3. OKC Thunder, same thing as Dallas, because Giddey is guarding more of the power forwards, and the taller players kind of guard him, while Lou Dort guards the wings or the point guards So he's a small forward, and then Jalen Williams is technically the small forward to start. He brings the ball up more as a hybrid forward guard more than anything. But then when you start playing around with these positions, as you'll see here, like I'll change them real quick. Like if you move Giddy to power forward, he goes up to an 86. So 2K would have to go through and really edit him, probably just intangible edits, but still edit him. Dort goes down 2 points off of that. Jalen Williams goes down a point off of that. So, it's just a matter of if you want to get the data of who guards who and switches and stuff like that, aesthetically for gameplay, that's how you would make it. But on paper, Giddy's the point guard or the two guard next to a healthy SGA. But, we'll see what happens. Dario Saric is definitely playing the backup center with Jeremiah Robinson Earl technically playing the power forward spot because Jeremiah Robinson Earl started next to Jay Will in a couple games. So he's more of the stretch big. He shoots a lot of threes anyway. That doesn't change overalls for either one. So it's just interesting to see, what route they go. One that's sorely needed, that should have been put in last ratings update but wasn't. Kyle Kuzma is a small forward now for the Washington Wizards with Porzingis playing the power forward because Gafford is now the starting center. And then Taj Gibson gets some minutes behind him. Denny Abdi is the backup behind Porzingis. And then Kispert's coming off the bench for Kyle Kuzma. So interesting enough, they're going to have to make that change. As you can see, it knocked Porzingis down one, so they'll have to adjust there. But Kuzma stayed the same. But I really think the badges are needed. If they go through and do all of the teams, it'll be interesting to see if you put badges correctly on all these players. It'll be interesting to see how the gameplay is there. It's quite a bit of work for them to go through and put the badges on, but I literally think that it would really, really appease the roster makers, enthusiasts, things like that, because it's showing the effort of these players getting those proper badges that have zero and or minimal badges. It's showing the reward that they get for playing good this season, and what's needed there. Regarding the injuries being removed, yeah, it'll be interesting with OKC because would they make the play in? So they might take longer to get adjusted. But then Chet Holmgren gets in, and then people are going to go off online with Chet Holmgren. That's for sure. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to know if the ratings update's coming out this week or not. I don't have any info. I don't know. All I can do is wait for Thursday and hope we see an update. If nothing major happens in the NBA, I will be back. I won't be back on until Thursday with another video. I try not to go too long without one. But that's basically all of all the major news as far as this update. So that's it here. But I wanted to real quick show off something. I did upload yesterday. It's not 100% complete yet. But I have an updated G League 2023 rosters right here. You can see my gamer tag. It's work in progress there. So, it's got all the updated transactions as of yesterday. I'll have to go through this morning. I had an appointment early this morning, so I was up super early. So I was able to kind of get some work stuff done, get that appointment knocked out, and then now I'm kind of free a little bit this morning, so I might update some stuff for the G League roster. But let me show you that real quick for anybody that's interested in the G League stuff. Like I said, I still got a long way to go with it. I'm not sure, big man, about the injury free. I don't use it. I've never used it. Never really thought the point of using it. I know it's vital to some, but just not my thing. But just wanted to show off the roster real quick. As you can see, accurate players on the teams. I went ahead and updated the appearances for a lot of players. There was a previous G League roster that I used, got some info from, imported players, things like that. But now I've went in and fixed the faces for a lot of players. I am not a cap creator, so don't kill me as far as the creations, but I try to get them better looking than what they were in the previous update for sure. So, like I said, the transactions are updated as of yesterday morning. I'll have to look and see what transactions transpired over the last day to know if I need to update anything or not. So, got some updates still coming for this roster. So, see, I got Frank Jackson back on Salt Lake City, who they actually have a decent team as far as the main guys that were former NBA players right there. So, but yeah, like this is another annoyance with 2K. O'Connell is not a name you can put in without it being a potential flag for inappropriate language, which is dumb. Bring back the past. No, Xavier Cooks won't go in until Boye is out of his 10 days, so they can't put him in until he officially signs. So once he officially signs, he'll be added to the game. Hopefully by next week. Trevor Keels is back on Westchester. Galen Robinson's back in the NBA G League. So interesting enough, he goes to the Lakers. I think Xavier Simpson will end up getting a call up. We'll see what happens. Hugo, if you want retro caps, my roster with the name complete historic roster, not the best work, but it's okay. Cool, thank you. I appreciate that. Got Justin Jackson back on the Texas Legends. Grant Riller's another one I think might get a call up at some point before the end of the year. He's been really doing well in the G League. Elfrid Payton turned down an overseas offer to sign with Fort Wayne for an NBA opportunity. We'll see. Malcolm Hill, once he was waived by the Bulls, his rights returned back to Birmingham. We have the Grand Rapids Gold. What's interesting enough is Norris Cole was on Grand Rapids, but now he's not. So I guess his NBA aspirations might be on hold. He probably took an offer overseas. I'm not exactly sure. Stanley Umide back on the Motor City Cruise after his 10-day expired. The Raptors 905 had made a couple moves, so they have some new guys on their team. Rio Grande Valley, a couple of transactions for them as well. Austin Spurs, same roster they've had all season. Oklahoma City Blue, they have Andre Robertson, who many remember played for the OKC Thunder for a while. He's down there trying to get right back in the NBA. They also have Chasson Randall, former NBA player, former two-way player Adam Makoka. Abdul Gaddy played with the USA Select team. So they have some players there. Iowa Wolves had made a couple moves last week. Same with Santa Cruz. They've kind of moved some guys around. And Capital City Go-Go. And last but not least, Mexico City Capitans. They brought in Scalabissiere, who was playing overseas. He's now on the team trying to get back in the NBA as well. So a lot of former NBA players trying to make the NBA again. There's some roster spots open, so we'll see how the 10-day contracts go for the rest of the season. Some open two-ways, things like that. But if you're watching right now, please hit that like button. I really, really would appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Cover tons and tons of roster content for NBA 2K. I try to bring you all of the latest stuff that's up to date. That way you don't have to guess what those update messages are for. You know what went in. So keep it here for any additional info, whether it's retro-related stuff, ratings update, player likeness updates, etc. I try to do these as often as there's a significant roster update. So anytime you might get an update prompt. You could come to my channel and see that I probably have a video up showing you what it's about. So hope you enjoy the content. If you guys have any ideas for content, shoot me a message in the comments. I'm always looking for ideas to keep my channel growing, keep users engaged or viewers engaged. Ideas are always helpful. Doesn't always mean I can do it, but if I can do it, I'll try my best. Plan on doing another simulation of the NBA season towards the end of the year. Once we get closer to the playoffs, maybe simulate those and see how it goes. And that's pretty much it. Hope everybody enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you later this week. Take care.